Hello, hello, hello. Hope you guys are having a wonderful night. Welcome to Her Soul Purpose Show, helping women heal, grow, and walk in purpose by sharing the truth of Christ as we tackle the tough topics of womanhood. I'm your host, Chrissy Addis. So let me make sure we are good to go. Okay, so we are good to go. Let me share this on Her Soul Purpose. I hope you guys are having a wonderful evening. If you are on the East Coast, please know that we are praying for you. We're praying for you. Just stay safe and know that people are praying for you guys. Okay, so this is PCOS Awareness Month. Tonight we have a special guest. Her name is Renee Ramirez. She's from Lubbock, Texas, and she's going to share some of her journey of PCOS and just give a little bit of tidbits and advice for you guys. So the reason why I think it's important that we talk about how to love somebody with PCOS is because of my personal journey. Obviously, I know what it's like to have people who completely encourage and love me through PCOS, and then I also know the other side of it when there's misunderstanding, when somebody just doesn't quite understand what I'm going through. And so now that we are at a place where PCOS is finally getting awareness, I want to be able to touch on this topic because women with PCOS need support. We just flat out need support. And so I want to make sure that we're aware of how to do that. First of all, we need the support in order to continue to move forward on our journey. I know for me personally, one of the things that has been super frustrating with PCOS is infertility and miscarriage. And so, it means so much to me to have, number one, a husband who completely adores me no matter what and supports me and encourages me. But it's also so meaningful that I have family and friends who love and support me through this too. And so we need that support to move forward. We also need people to support the lifestyle change. It requires a lifestyle change. It's diet, it's exercise, it's reducing stress in our life, it's self-care. And so we need that support, we need that encouragement. And so that is super huge for us. If you know somebody who has PCOS, encourage them on that lifestyle change, on that lifestyle walk. It's also difficult to live with a disease that's so unknown. It's something that's still in the shadows, and thankfully it is finally getting some recognition. But people, there are people who live with diabetes and rheumatoid arthritis and other chronic or autoimmune diseases, and those are terrible things to live with, but thankfully there is awareness and they know how to manage it, and so something that PCOS doesn't quite have yet is that knowledge, and there's not quite a spotlight on it just yet. And so I'm so thankful that the world is starting to come to terms with it and is starting to bring awareness to it, but it's a disease that's both understood and misunderstood, if that even makes sense. But it is. It's we're starting to understand a little bit more about it, but it is still a misunderstood topic. It's still a misunderstood disease and disorder, and so I'm so thankful that there are women around the world that are starting to speak up about it, that are starting to share their story, that are starting to help one another through this. And women for a long time have been they've been fending for themselves when it comes to this. I know for one, I've had doctors not understand it. I remember having tests ran and having certain levels, too low or too high, and doctors telling me, I don't understand this. I don't know what's going on. And that would be my answer that I would get is I don't know what's wrong with you. And that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable for us because we want to know what's happening. We want to know what's going on. And so I'm so thankful that this is starting to get the awareness that it deserves, the awareness that it needs, because women need to be able to know how to take care of themselves. And for me, I'm very thankful that women who have little girls in their lives, whether they're daughters or nieces, they're going to be able to now know how to pass that knowledge on to them, because little girls become women, and we want to be able to take care of them, and so that way they're not having these issues when they're older, when they're married and ready to have kids, or on the couch depressed or having side issues or ovarian cyst ruptures. Now we have a little bit more knowledge and we can help them a little bit better. So those are my reasons why I think it's so important that we know how to help other women with PCOS. So let's see here. Okay. So some of the things that I went through as a single woman was, trying to date was challenging, because when you're young and dating, you want to go out and do things, you want to go, enjoy life. And there were times that I was just completely depressed. I didn't have the energy. I didn't want to do anything. So I always knew that it would take a very patient, understanding, caring man in order for me to truly settle down. And so I'm so thankful that God brought me that amazing man that has just been so patient and on this journey with me. He's changed his diet with me. He's changed his lifestyle with me. And we're in this together. And that's what it has taken for me in my marriage, is to have somebody completely just understand me and love me no matter what. But also it didn't just come in between dating, I guess you could say, but it also did tend to damage friendships in my life because I was so misunderstood at times. I didn't feel like doing things, and there's PCOS pretty much has you on a hormonal roller coaster, and sometimes I was flat out depressed. I just didn't want to get up off the couch. I didn't want to go have that coffee day, or I was in a lot of pain. I'd have ovarian cyst ruptures almost monthly. Sometimes I was in the hospital, and so that was a challenge also. And so that's some of the experiences I've had being a single and being married. And of course, marriage now, it has brought troubles trying to grow our family, but thankfully, again, I have a husband who's so understanding of that, was very supportive, and we're in this together. We're trying to get healthy. We're trying to be able to naturally grow our family. And so, it's been a blessing to have amazing people in my life. And I've had both, the people who didn't quite understand what I was going through, and then the people who've completely understood what I was going through. So it's been amazing to have both. And it's just important for women with PCOS to be aware of how they're feeling, why they're feeling a certain way, and to be able to learn how to manage it. And that's something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy teaching other women how to learn how to manage that, because it takes self-awareness, it takes self-control, and we have to know how to manage our hormonal imbalance, those up and downs, those angry moments, those sad moments. Like, we have to learn how to manage that, to be able to be self-aware and say, okay, this is what's happening with my body right now. This is why I'm feeling a certain way. Maybe I'm not really frustrated. Maybe I'm just, having a moment, and I need to, take some deep breaths. I need to figure out exactly where I am and why I'm feeling a certain way and manage it. So that's one of the things I like to do as a coach, is to help women learn how to get through that and to do that. So we're going to have Renee come on. We have a couple more minutes. So while we're waiting, I want to go over some statistics with you. And I went over a little bit of statistics last week with you, but I feel it's so important that we truly understand a little bit about PCOS. And so I got these statistics from PCOSchallenge.org. This is an amazing organization. This is the organization that is leading this awareness. They have gone full force on getting this into Congress, setting up meetings for Congress. They're the ones that set up the meeting for my husband and I to go speak with Congress here in Oregon, and they're doing a phenomenal job. But so these statistics are from their website at PCOSchallenge.org. So PCOS affects 10 to 15% of women. PCOS is the leading cause of infertility in women. 50% of women with PCOS become diabetic before the age of 40. Women with PCOS are 2 times more likely to be hospitalized. That is me. I lived pretty much in a hospital, it seemed like, growing up, even in my 20s. 50% women with PCOS are going undiagnosed and misdiagnosed. This is just not okay, guys. Let's see. One other statistic I want to give is there's a limited PCOS awareness that is hurting military families. It's hurting service women and veterans, and so that's something to be aware of also. So those are some statistics. Now we are going to get on the line with our friend Renee.
I can. Hi. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me be a part of your show. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. Well, so I was diagnosed with PCOS when I was about 14 years old, and I didn't really understand what that meant. Again, I was 14. I was still learning what my body was doing and apparently what it wasn't doing. And the initial conversation, I guess, with my doctor was, you have PCOS, you will never have your own children, and you will always struggle with your weight. And so that was just the mindset that I developed. It just immediately became what I spoke over myself as well. I have PCOS, I'll never have my own children, and I will always struggle with my weight. And every doctor that I saw after that reiterated that. You'll never have your own children, you'll always struggle with your weight. And that was just part of it. And I didn't really understand what PCOS even was. I didn't understand that it was more than just our hormones or more than just, not having a regular cycle. I didn't really understand what it can truly do to our bodies. And so my whole life I struggled with my weight. I got depressed really easy, and so I would eat food that I didn't need to eat to emotionally fill the void that I had inside of me. My body hurt, so I didn't like to work out or to exercise because my body hurt. And so instead I would eat, and I would just develop this pattern of unhealthy behaviors. And all along thinking, this is just part of having PCOS. I'm just going to struggle with this. I'm never going to have my own children. I'm going to always have struggles with hair growth on my face and hair loss on my head. And I'm always going to struggle with my weight. And I used to always say that I never wanted to get married and I never wanted to have kids. And I believe that part of the reason that I said that so much and so often to people and to myself was because I had been believing since I was 14 that I would never be able to have my own children. And so who wants to get married when you feel like you can't give somebody this gift that they may want? And so I filled my time with other things, and that's just something that I decided was never going to happen. And then about 5 years ago, just somebody from, my childhood that I've known since I was, I guess, in the third grade, we reconnected, we ran into each other, and he just turned out to be such an amazing man. I was very open and honest with him about, these are my health conditions. At that time, I was struggling with an autoimmune disorder, which they still can't figure out what it is, but I do believe it's directly correlated with the PCOS, and that's kind of what we figured out. But this is a person who I was able to say, look, I'm sick, and you should run away, and I can't have kids, and you should run away. And he didn't. And instead, he, told me how much he loved me, and he didn't care about those things, and he would be supportive of, whatever I needed. And my family has just been absolutely amazing. My mom has been absolutely amazing in truly trying to understand what PCOS is and what it causes, and emotionally what it causes, and physically what it causes. Really trying to be that support system. I mean, if she finds something, whether it's an article or something on TV, that's about it, then she lets me know, or she knows that I struggle with the excess hair that I grow on my face, and that's just such a struggle for me. And so she would, share things that she found that she knew would help with those little things that actually are really big things to me. And just, even with my yo-yo dieting throughout the years of trying to figure out what would work. My mom has just always been that rock for me where, if I needed her to do it with me, even though she didn't need to lose the weight, she was right there in it. She was, drinking 18 glasses of water with lemon before a meal, or eating whatever food it was that I needed to be eating at that time to try to lose the weight. She's just really helped me try to get to the place where I am now, which is being able to embrace who I am, and that, this isn't about, PCOS taking over my life, but it's about reclaiming my life. I had a really good doctor, or who I thought was a really good doctor, right around the time that I met my now fiance. And he really kind of helped with different medical issues. But the one thing he was always consistent in telling me was, you've got to lose weight. You've got to lose weight. And I was trying. I was eating what's considered the right way. I was eating, whole grains and whole wheats, and I was eating fruits and vegetables and plenty of protein and chicken and that kind of stuff, and the weight would not come off. And every time I would see him, he would just continuously, you need to lose weight, you need to lose weight, to the point that he put me on different medications. He put me on metformin, which I don't even have diabetes. I'm not anywhere near that, yet he put me on a diabetic medication to try to help me lose weight. I have really bad migraines, and he put me on an anti-seizure medication for the migraines, but also because he was like, this will help you lose weight. And when those things didn't work and the side effects became worse than actually what I was going through, and I went to him and I said, this isn't working, and it just kind of became upset when I kept saying this, her PCOS is struggling with weight loss. And he basically told me that he as a doctor does not believe in PCOS, and that's not an excuse, and that I need to lose the weight. And if I couldn't lose the weight by a certain amount of time, then he thought we needed to look at getting on diet pills to lose the weight. And that frustrated me on so many levels, at the realization that not only had he just basically told me that I was lazy and that I wasn't trying to lose weight, but how many other women with PCOS were going to this doctor or any other doctor and hearing that same thing. We naturally are going to struggle with anxiety and with depression as part of PCOS, and having somebody in the medical field who you trust, who is handling your health care, tell you that he doesn't believe in this, that you've suffered with for so many years, it was devastating to me. And I left there and I was so upset and I was crying, and my fiance he was trying to comfort me, and he didn't know how. At that point it was kind of like he didn't know what else he could do. And for me, there was nothing else that he could actually do or anybody else could do. That's when I realized I have to take control of my own health. I cannot trust somebody who doesn't understand it to help me get better. And so he had talked to me about getting a nutritionist before, and so I went that route. I went and I got a nutritionist, and that was even frustrating because my insurance said if he would refer me as a PCOS patient, then they would cover the nutritionist fee. But instead of him doing that, because he doesn't believe in PCOS, he referred me as just being overweight. And so that was something I had to pay out of pocket because that wasn't something my insurance was going to cover. So even those little things that added up. But I found an amazing woman who is a nutritionist here, and she actually specializes in PCOS and nutrition. And so we were able to develop this great plan for what I needed to be eating and not eating. And I discovered that I was eating things that seemed healthy, but they weren't what my body needed. My body couldn't process them the way that they needed to be processed. And we, learned of, that I have a gluten intolerance. And so the gluten was causing my migraines and my joint pains and the other things that I was having. And so once I started eliminating things from my diet, not eating dairy, I've gotten to the point that I don't eat meat or dairy now. And then that's not to say that that's for everybody, but for my body, for what I need for my body, that seems to be working. And so I'm so grateful to have found somebody who does believe in it and who is helping me be on that journey. And, it's not a quick fix. It's not, the weight is coming off 1 pound at a time every week. If a pound comes off or half a pound comes off, I'm super excited. And, my clothes fits a little bit better, or, I look in the mirror and it looks a little bit, like I'm shaping up a little bit better. But that just gives me confidence to be able to continue to pursue the dreams that I believe that God's given me. And being able to travel, like you said, and being able to travel overseas and to do mission work, that is what I believe my calling is. And 10 years ago when I first went overseas, one of the biggest concerns was that, I had these different things that were wrong with me, and how was I going to handle it being overseas, and was it going to get worse? And I just took the step of faith, and I did it. I went and I traveled for a year, doing mission work that I'd never done before, going to third world countries and living in very poor conditions. And during that time, I realized that I couldn't allow PCOS to restrict me from doing the things that were in my heart. And I had to continue to push through. And, you don't know. You're going to wake up one day and you might be in pain and you can't do as much, but you can do something. You have to just push through the symptoms that we have. And on the days that we can't push through, then having that support system that can just gather around you and help you, that's what allows us to be able to get up the next day and push a little bit harder in that. And so, like I said, I'm very blessed with my family and with my fiance who understand and who want to help me in that situation and who want to be there for me. And, even my two boys, I have two stepsons who are just incredible. And at one point, with just being sick in general, I couldn't really get out of bed. I couldn't do a lot. I would go to work. And then anything we did outside of work, I just really couldn't walk. My body was in such pain. And they would, go get a wheelchair for me. And, I'm in my early 30s at this point, and I'm having these two young boys that just want to help so much and want to show me that they love me, go to that extreme. And so I'm just so grateful for that, that I have that in my life, and that I've got that type of support system. And with, again, like I said, with my mom and with my family, of really just sitting by me and standing by me and helping me. And one of the greatest ways that they have showed how much that they love me and showed me how much they want to be that support system is really by being patient and by doing the research, by understanding that this is a disease and it might not have a huge physical face to it, but it is a disease that affects our entire bodies. And so, understanding that there's a mental portion of it, there's an emotional portion of it, and there's that physical portion of it, and just being genuine in their concern, being genuine about, the questions that they're asking, or even little things like when we go out to eat, them actually caring about what I can and can't eat, and going to places that they know I'm going to be able to find something to eat. Those little things they're so important, because I feel like those are the little things that remind us that people do love us and that people are concerned about us and people do want to help us. And then I think, just being able to talk to them, being able to be open, and just, when you're having a bad day or you're having a hard day, and being able to say, this is what I'm struggling with, or and that they truly want to listen. They truly want to be there. They truly want to hear you. If you're having the cramping and the pain that comes with having the cyst and the ruptured cyst and all of those things, and to know that somebody's there that truly cares and wants to be there, that just means so much. I mean, there's little things that David will do. I'll go to his apartment and he will have a heating pad just laid out for me because he knows that I'm hurting that day, and so he wants to make sure that he can take care of me, and that he massages my feet every day and my arms and my back, and just trying to relax me because he knows that if I'm relaxed, my body's going to feel better. And so those little things that everybody does, they build up, and they show you how much you're being loved. And they show how much people care. And I think just people listening. I think that people in our lives that will just listen, when we say, this is September's PCOS Awareness Month, and people being able to listen and to want to know, like, what is that and what does that mean? And people being sensitive, when, like, I'm 36 and I don't have any children. And, and sometimes it's hard when people will talk about, like, well, why don't you have any kids? And I don't want to sit there and have a whole conversation all the time about why that may not be the road that God has for me. But the people who are there to listen, if that is something that I want to talk about, that helps a lot too. That's my journey with PCOS. I have gone from not understanding it at all to growing in understanding, to developing a community of amazing people who genuinely love me and support me, and taking control of my own health and not allowing anybody to tell me that it isn't real, and not allowing anybody to tell me that I'm not trying and to make me doubt myself, because I do know what my body is going through. I do know that what my body is dealing with is very real. And so in being brave enough to say that to your doctor, that's what I did. Like when I walked out of there that day, I was very upset. But when I went back again to him before I left him completely, at that point I was very strong and able to tell him he was incorrect. And, he had done a lot of blood work And when my blood work came back, he was so surprised, and he told me my numbers were better than his numbers. My cholesterol was better than his cholesterol. And he couldn't believe that because he's a very slim, fit doctor, and here I was. And so I feel like that was a little bit of an eye opener for him, but not enough for him to understand. And so I think that, when I've left him now, but I think that, finding a doctor that understands, and that's one of the first questions I ask is, do you understand what PCOS is? Do you believe in it? And are you willing to help me conquer this, regardless of what it takes? Because I don't want to be with a doctor that doesn't understand that. But yeah, so that's my journey. Yes. I don't think that he does, because his son and I are actually pretty good friends. Yeah. Really I just want to encourage people who know somebody going through PCOS to be patient with them and to try to remember that even though they don't necessarily always see the physical side of it, that to know that what they're going through emotionally or mentally or physically inside of their body is something that can be very trying, and so to just be patient and to be kind through it all, and to understand that if we have really emotional days where we might snap a little bit, to just understand that it's not coming from a place where we're being hateful, but that it's unfortunately it's part of being a hormonal disease as well. And just overall, be patient and be kind. Okay, sounds great. All right, bye. You're welcome. Bye.
Hi guys, I am hoping I'm back on and you guys can hear me again because I still needed to talk about the giveaway that we are doing. Hi guys, I am hoping I'm back on and you guys can hear me again because I still needed to talk about the giveaway. Okay, so we are doing a giveaway and you'll be able to go to my Instagram. Hi guys, I am hoping I'm back on finishes airing. You guys can hear me again because I still need to start about the giveaway there. Okay, so we are doing a giveaway and you'll be able to go to my Instagram. And those will be shortly after I'm back on. Also, finishes share the video with Renee and start the giveaway there. Okay, so we are doing a giveaway and you'll be able to share that video on Instagram. Those will be shortly after I'm back on. Also, share the video with Renee and start the giveaway there. So we are doing a giveaway and you'll be able to share that video on Instagram. Those will be shortly after I'm back on. Also, share the video with Renee and start the giveaway there. So we are doing a giveaway and you'll be able to share that video on Instagram.